Raider Nation, we're kind of in an argument right now. I don't know. We've never we're related. We're cousins. We've never been in an argument before. But honestly, I'm pretty heated right now. I mean, this guy can tell you what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that Antonio Pierce, we've been giving him his flowers, but the fact that they're lighting cigars in the locker room after beating the Broncos without Russell Wilson to go 8-9 and miss the playoffs is embarrassing to me. And look, the fans can chant AP all they want. AP can go in the parking lot, go to the tailgates, but that doesn't change the fact that you're 8-9 and they're celebrating like they won the Super Bowl,
I
which
just
is not it's not acceptable.
I just think it sounds so dumb what you're saying. Like, think about it. A win's a win. One, two. We beat Jared fucking Stidham. We beat Roll Stidham, man. If you beat Roll Stidham, you automatically get hyped. That guy cheated us and did us dirty, stabbed us in the back, and went to Denver. I mean, like Roll Stidham is like, I don't know. Fuck that guy. We beat him. We beat Denver. AP is my coach, and I honestly, unless we get Harbaugh, which is like a very slim chance, if we don't keep Antonio Pierce, I mean, what are you doing, Mark Davis? Like, what are you doing? I have no clue what he's doing. I still don't know. I mean, he never knows really. We always hire these horrible coaches and not even just head coach, but like our assistants are just like consistently bad too. I mean, AP is like the one assistant that's like, whoa, like he did good. We just hired like Bozo as offensive coordinator. Like, if they keep this hard degree, whatever, they're dumb. I mean, they just. But let's get.
Yeah, I mean they're not going to keep hard.
I know they're not, and I don't think they're gonna keep AP either. That for that matter, like I wish they would, but it doesn't seem like they're gonna keep AP. And like, if Harbaugh, like, okay, we're watching the game right now. We both have the game on right now. If Michigan wins or loses, I don't think it matters. I think Harbaugh is leaving regardless. I think Harbaugh is. I think he's trying to go back to the NFL now. But that dude looks senile, bro. Like in the right now, they just asked him in the before he went in the locker room. The chick asked him, "Hey, what was that decision to go for it on fourth down?" And he just looks up into the stars and he's like, "Oh wow, yeah. Well, we thought it was a good idea there." And like, he looks kind of senile. I'm not gonna lie. He looks like his dad. Him and his dad look identical. His dad is 30 years older than him, and they look the same. I mean, he's not aged well. His brother is still, young and looks like he's gonna coach for the near future. As a commercial comes on, talking about kids with cleft and Operation Smile. Shout out Zamir White. Shout out Jahan
Big
Butt.
shout out, big shout out Zamir. But no, this is what I'm saying. I just saw news today. The Chargers are interviewing Patrick Graham. They requested to interview Pat Graham for their head coaching position. And if that guy leaves, we're completely effed. Like Mark Davis even said when we hired him, I'm not hiring this guy to coach the team. I'm hiring him to lead the team, to motivate the players. So, I mean, and this guy takes everything so personal. In the media, he'll come out and be like, yeah, the fans are calling me a rah-rah guy. And I'm actually very educated on the subject of football. Like, I like AP. I really like AP as a guy. And I think he's done a good job, but it's hard to say that people are saying he's done something for the Raider Nation that hasn't been done in years, which I just disagree with that. We've had John Gruden. He was a better coach than Antonio Pierce. Rich Bisaccia was a better coach than Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
He made the playoffs. Antonio Pierce didn't make it. He got shut
Yeah.
out by the Vikings and
Yeah.
lost to the Colts.
I think
So
another thing is that, not to cut you off, but I think the whole Bisaccia situation, he went 7-5. Gruden took us from 4-12 to 7-9 to 8-8 to like 12-4. We were like 12-4, like coming into the fourth year. Like, and we were ready to go. We were. Did I say 12-4? What was he until? Oh,
no,
he
no, we
was
were
5-1.
10-7.
Five. No, but yeah, but he was 5-1 when he got fired, or 5-2, or when he resigned.
No, we were 3-2, and then we went, I think, 5-2. We won
Okay,
the
okay.
next two games.
Yeah, he got, yeah, week 5. That's about right.
But still, we would have been winning those games with Gruden too. Like I don't think just because we had Bisaccia doesn't mean if Gruden was the head coach. We still
Well,
would have been winning those games.
I
Not
also
that
think
Sacha.
that if you had Carr, you'd win. If you had Carr, I hate to say it, Carr balled out yesterday, and he threw 4 touchdowns, and he just made some really good throws. If you had Carr in a few of these games this year, like the Pittsburgh game, where Devontae had like a 50 piece in fantasy, the Vikings game, the first Chiefs game when we're up 14-0, and you have the ball 4th and 1 at your own 30, and you kick a field goal and you miss. I mean, you go for it there. Like you talk, Antonio Pierce talking about, oh, like when they play the Chargers, like, oh, put their foot on the throat, and we're gonna crush their throat. Like if you were really about all that, you wouldn't have kicked a field goal on 4th and 1 at the 30, up by 14-0. And then in a blink of an eye, the score switched and they were up 21-14 at halftime, or 21-17 at halftime. I mean, it's just a few bad decisions, I agree, and I'm not so happy about it. Like I don't think, like, some of those decisions are like, you might not be able to keep this guy. But then you think about the other end is like he could learn, he could learn the ways, like, and figure out his shit before he becomes before he steps into the role of head coach. But I think either way, I think Mark Davis is gonna find a way to fuck this up, like he always does. He always messes shit up. I mean, one, either he's gonna get some washed offensive coordinator to become the head coach who has like a handful of Super Bowl wins as an assistant, or two, he's gonna hire a guy like back when Al Davis hired Art Shell back in 2006. Guy who had no clue what he was doing, like guy who's like 8 years old, like has no frigging clue what's going on to win,
Yeah, but
14 that year.
see, that's the thing that I'm saying is like there's with AP, his success is conditional on so many other things. Like I would argue our roster right now is a top 10 roster in the NFL. Like I get the whole offensive coordinator thing, but like who are we going to hire? I don't even know any names of that. Oh, this is an offensive coordinator who's available. Let's go and hire him. Because those guys are going to be head coaches. There's no like one guy you can just go and hire as an offensive coordinator, which is an issue. And second, I mean, it looks like these guys are already gone. Like Champ Kelly was interviewing with the Redskins, or sorry, Commanders, my bad, and another team. So he's already interviewing with
Denver.
these other teams. And another thing, if Champ Kelly and Antonio Pierce leave, we get 4 first round or third round picks
Yeah.
because of the Rooney. I don't know what it's called, the compensatory Rooney
No,
rule or
even
whatever.
Patrick Graham just got permission to interview for head coach for the Chargers. Like they want to get Patrick Graham to be their
Yeah,
head coach.
but that's not even worth the third. I'd rather have him than the
We
third round
get two
picks.
third round picks. Yeah, we get 2 third round picks if he goes. But I mean, if you don't keep him, you're in deep shit. You're in deep
Yeah,
shit.
if you that's what I'm saying. If you give up, if Pierce and Champ Kelly go, I would take the 4 third round picks that we would get. Them go and hire someone else. So that's another incentive to the owner to not keep those two guys around. It's a weird rule that you just get these third round picks just because the guys are leaving. But I mean, if it's going to help our team, then so be it. And another thing I saw, we interviewed Adam Peters, or we requested to interview him, and he's the Niners assistant GM. He's in charge of their pro personnel department. Who do you trust more, Champ Kelly, who's from the Bears, and now Dave Ziegler's assistant, got Dave Ziegler coffee every morning, or would you rather have Adam Peters, who's in charge of the Niners personnel, drafting all these players?
Even Ed Dodds was a name that I heard because he has a connection to Harbaugh. They were both coaches on the Raiders back in 02-03 when Harbaugh was actually the quarterback's coach when Gannon won MVP that year. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I could see by the end of tonight, like in the morning, oh, they're announcing Harbaugh's leaving or whatever. It's gonna happen as soon as tomorrow, I think. After this win, they're gonna announce Harbaugh's leaving or Harbaugh's staying or Harbaugh's like whatever he's gonna do.
yeah. I
I'm
think Harbaugh's
not
gone
saying,
regardless.
yeah, I think he's leaving regardless. I think win or lose today, which they're in I mean, this is a dogfight. This is not over. It's 17-10 at halftime. And I honestly think if you get rid of him, well, if he leaves, I think Mark Davis is gonna go all in. I think he's gonna go all in for Harbaugh. I honestly think if he decides to leave Michigan, his alma mater, where he went to college, played quarterback, and now is turned this program around, he could easily end up staying, I think.
I doubt it just because there's been so much speculation of people have asked him, "Are you going to leave? Are you going to stay?" And he's basically just pled the fifth and said, "Oh, we'll see after the national championship." Which, to me, that just means he's going to leave. And I think he wants a Super Bowl. He wants to catch up to his brother. Brother beat him last time, so I think he wants that real ring. So he's going to go back to the pros. I don't know if we can even land him because the Chargers are going to want him, and he played quarterback for the Chargers, so they have a connection there. He's good friends with Spanos. So I don't know if he's going to go to us or the Chargers. I would say it's 50-50. But let me point this out. If it's Harbaugh, Sean Payton, and Andy Reid in a division, and you have Antonio Pierce as your head coach, we have the worst coach in the division. That's just a fact. And we already have the worst quarterback in the division. So it's like, and you're only as good as your head coach and your quarterback. So if Jim Harbaugh goes to the Chargers, we're absolutely screwed if we have Antonio Pierce.
And
Like
this,
Antonio Pierce, go ahead.
yeah, it it's honestly surprising because, like you said, yeah, Harbaugh has a connection to the 49ers, friends with Spanos, whatever. But it's surprising all these mock drafts that I've been seeing today all have us drafting either defense or a wide receiver at the 13th pick, which makes zero sense. Who's going to play quarterback? We can't have Statue of Liberty running out there next season, unless it's in the preseason. That's the only time Statue of Liberty needs playing time next year. And the other thing that scares me is what happened with Anthony Richardson and the Colts. Like, yeah, they got Gardner Minshew that came in and stepped up and whatever. But like, let's say some rookie, God forbid, gets hurt. We draft like this Washington guy or something. And like in Anthony Richardson, he's very physical, big guy, like gets hurt, whatever, out for the year. Do you really trust Aiden O'Connell even to come in and just stand there and try to win games? I don't think so. I think you have to trade up, and I think you got to get one of the big three. You got to get Cale Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Michael Penix. If you can't get one of those three, then it's time to try to get Justin Fields. That's what I would say. But it's
Yeah,
alarming how few people are kind of concerned about our quarterback position, like Aiden O'Connell is going to be the guy.
yeah. And shout out my boy Gavin. He sent me a text and he said it's people aren't giving him a chance because he's a rookie. Like if there was any other rookie, people would be give him another year. He was 5-5. But here's where I disagree with that point. Is that Aiden O'Connell, he's already a developed passer. He's 25 years old and he knows how to throw the football. He knows how to read defenses more than most rookies because he's played in college so long. And second, there's no room for improvement in terms of his mobility. Like that's the main issue with O'Connell is he can't move. If there's any pressure around him, he gets blitzed, it's game over, sack, -6 yards. So he can't improve in that area of his game. So you can't rely on him to get better it's not like it's CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson where they have a ceiling. This guy, he's already pretty much at his ceiling. So he can't get much better. Which, yeah, I agree with you there. We need a new quarterback. But and then another thing is like people are like, oh, we're gonna get Jaden Daniels. Antonio Pierce is our head coach. It's a draft. It doesn't work that way. Just because the guy likes your head coach, you can just pick him. Like, no, that's not how it works. So I mean, like, there's all these different things with Antonio Pierce that the fan base seems to just like hold on to and say like, oh yeah, we're gonna reunite these two guys. But it's easier, and I don't know. It's just Antonio Pierce he's done a good job, and I want to go through every single game that he's coached. Right, the Giants game he won, fine. I think Josh McDaniels wins that game as well. So okay, that's whatever. Jets game, same thing. I think Josh McDaniels wins that game. Our offense was stagnant. We barely won. We got lucky with that Spillane interception. Um, Dolphins game, okay, fine. I'll give him credit for the defense, but he's not even calling the defense, so that's on Patrick Graham. And the offense was shit again. Chiefs game again, offense was shit, stalled out.
Choked.
Um,
0 choke.
exactly. And Antonio put us over in those two games by not being aggressive in the Miami and the KC game.
Both.
He wasn't aggressive, so he screwed those two games over. And then the Vikings game, if we had Josh McDaniels, we win that game. I'm sorry, our offense would not have put up 0 points with Josh McDaniels as the head coach. Obviously, he was a shitty head coach, but he would have put up 3 points.
I think with Carr you win that game too.
With Carr, yeah, with Carr, you win the Miami game also.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs game. Here's where everyone's giving Antonio Pierce credit for the Chiefs game because I remember we made a podcast and we said it's over. Like the title of our video was zero chance Antonio Pierce is hired after the Vikings game. Then we just go out and beat the Chiefs. Amazing win, right? But here's the thing: people say that it's
Oh,
Antonio Pierce that
we
sparked it,
dropped 63 first on the Chargers and then beat the Chiefs.
but still, I still think we didn't want to hire Antonio Pierce after the 63-point game. The whole you're right, yeah, the Charger game was in between, but the whole narrative flipped after the Charger game, right? But the thing that people fail to realize is Josh McDaniels almost beat the Chiefs too last year. If Devontae Adams had gotten his feet in on the sideline, we beat them in Arrowhead. So it's not like our offense only put up 6 points, and the fumble recovery was a lucky fumble recovery that Bilal Nichols scooped up. Shout out MVP, Nickelodeon valuable player on this. And then the pick six, that's just a great play by Jack Jones. So it's not just two plays, can't just literally 2 plays won us that game. And you can't use it as evidence to hire this guy for the next 5-6 years. Like Hondo Carpenter said, we're going to give this guy a 6-year deal. It just makes no sense based on 2 plays. That's what won us a Chiefs game. And people are anointing him after 2 plays, which
The thing is,
it's hard to.
I hope that even if they don't keep Antonio Pierce as head coach, I hope they can keep him somewhere because he embodies what it means to be a Raider. You know, he just screams Raider when you hear him talk or when he just screams like that aura. He has that personality and everything. And I wish you could keep him somewhere, even if it's not as head coach, if you can bring him back and at least keep him as a linebackers coach, and let him talk to the game pregame, he'll hype everyone up, you know what I mean? But Devontae, Max Crosby, Nate Hobbs, Amik Robertson, they've all said, oh, we want AP. Like, we'll be disappointed if it's not AP. Oh, there you go. Picked off. Michael Penix just threw a pick.
But see, man, my guy Michael Penix. Here's where I'll disagree there. And this is all credit to Wi-Fi Willie. 100% credit to you. He pulled a clip out, and it was Max Crosby like the week or so before that McDaniels was fired, and Crosby was like, "Oh, I love McDaniels. He's done a great job implementing his system. The guys are bought in." And he gets fired the next week. So these players, they just want to save their own ass. Like, do you think Jack Jones would be on the team if Antonio Pierce wasn't here? No. So of course he's going to say we want Antonio Pierce. So I get you. Obviously the players like it. I'm not disputing that. But it's hard to say that just based on what the players say to the media, you got to hire the guy because they said the exact same shit about Josh McDaniels, and clearly that wasn't working. Like they complimented Josh McDaniels just how they're complimenting Antonio Pierce. It seems more genuine this time. I get that, but I mean, come on, man. These players are. It's hard to take it seriously. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think if you were to right now decide, obviously, I would say keep Antonio Pierce. I love Antonio Pierce. You're right, though, he would become the worst coach in the division, maybe in the conference as of right now, the way things are. Not much experience, but the other way is that you go out and get someone like Harbaugh. And I think that's the only two realistic
Yeah.
choices. I think it's either you're all in for Harbaugh, and if you can't get him, keep AP, or you just keep AP and you forget about. I mean, you let Harbaugh walk to the Chargers. But I think if you're Mark Davis, honestly, the more I'm thinking about it, I don't think you can let Harbaugh walk to the Chargers because then that puts everyone in a bad position. That puts the whole franchise in danger because look at what Harbaugh did with the 49ers. He changed their culture. He took them to 3 NFC championships and took them to the Super Bowl. Of course, he was a lot younger and maybe not as senile, but I honestly,
Yeah, I mean, he
yeah,
looks old. I will say he does look old, but I mean, I think his brother is older than him. John Harbaugh is older. So it's like, I mean, these coaches are all he reads senile and old, and they're still winning. So I mean, I just think Harbaugh is you got to have him as your number one option. Then if you can't get him, then just hire Antonio Pierce because I'm not in the mood to hire some random offensive coordinator from the Texans, Bobby Slowick. Like that never works for us because the owner is going to F it up, like you said. So, I mean, Harbaugh's a sure thing. If you can't get in, then just hire who you have. I think it's simple.
And that works if you have a really good owner. If you have
Yeah.
a really good owner, it works to hire, like an offensive coordinator, like or a assistant, like Dan Campbell with the Lions and Sean McVay with the Rams, and Kyle Shanahan even was an assistant was a defensive coordinator. Um, it's hard when you don't have a good owner, and we just simply don't have a good owner. Our owner is pretty terrible, actually. I wouldn't trust our owner with anything. Like, I mean, he constantly shown time and time again he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know, the right move essentially for the franchise. He thinks he does, but he really doesn't. And I think I'm gonna say I want Antonio Pierce as the guy. And I want to say we go out and draft Jaden Daniels. We trade up and draft Jaden Daniels, and then you reunite AP and JD. And I think that right there, you have a chance to win the game. Like, you have a chance to win games. You have a Heisman Trophy quarterback winner. I mean, I doubt they're going to trade up into the top 3 and get Caleb Williams. I just don't think that's feasible. But yeah, I would go right now and say for head coach I'd want AP, which is not likely. It's not looking good. All these reports, even Schefter reported today that all Raiders are going to be really interested in Harbaugh. And then the other thing is Jaden Daniels at quarterback. So I would say AP and JD. That's like my combo right now that I would go with. Even though it could very well be McCarthy and Harbaugh coming in.
Yeah, I hope McCarthy doesn't come because after watching this game, he's not. This guy's not an NFL quarterback.
I know.
He would be the worst quarterback in the NFL if he was drafted. JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see it with this guy. So if
He
they're a package deal, then I hope not. I hope
he
Harbaugh doesn't come.
he reminds me of Alabama quarterback. Alabama used to have a quarterback named Jake Coker who sucked. Like, he was just like they won national championships, but he just was. I think it was after Jalen Hurts and Tua left. It was after that. This guy just like was really bad. Like, but they did go to a national championship against Clemson. Um,
Yeah.
this was like a few years ago. But anyways, it's fourth down and like 11. They're kicking another field goal. But let's see. I mean, tomorrow we could get some big news tomorrow, about AP and about Harbaugh, and Antonio Pierce even said in the interviews today, he was like, "Oh, like we'll see what happens. All I can do is just scream Raiders," and he screamed Raiders and he left. Like, it's not really like, I mean, it's not his say, but I hope in a way that he does find his way back to Las Vegas, because I mean, he's just a player's coach.
Yeah. I was thinking they could hire him as Team Champlain. They hired Randall Cunningham a few years ago, but they let him go. I mean, this guy is a motivator at the end of the day, so maybe you can hire him as that, keep him on the staff. But I don't know. I think it's the odds are with Harbaugh, like you said, 70% Harbaugh, I'd say 30% Pierce. And I don't think Davis has the balls to hire anyone else. He won't. He's too nervous
And I think
about
you
the
gotta
backlash that
keep
he'll get.
I think you got to keep Patrick Graham, though. That's one thing.
Yeah.
I think Pat Graham has to stay. If he walks even to the Chargers won't be as good next year, but I mean, they're gonna have a good defense because they got playmakers. They got Mac, they got Derwin James, and they got that Asante Samuel Jr. They got like 3 good pieces right there. They have Kenneth Murray. Like, they have a really good defense actually. They just need, they didn't never had a defensive coach. Brandon Staley was, kind of washed up at that after that choke against the Jaguars. They were never the same.
Yeah. Um, Last thing I'll say, I saw this one thing comparing a potential Jaden Daniels and Antonio Pierce pairing to CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans. Obviously, that's ideal. Those 2 guys are killing it in Houston. But this is why I don't see it. It's because Antonio Pierce was not a defensive coordinator before. He literally was the linebackers coach, which what do you even do as a linebackers coach? You just help the guys lift weights, hype them up. You're not really coaching the scheme. You're just there. Patrick Graham's assistant, right? Getting him chai in the morning.
Yeah.
But I mean, D'Amico Ryans was the coordinator. He ran the defense when they went not the Super Bowl, they lost an NFC Championship. He ran the whole show, and Antonio Pierce isn't running the whole show. He's hiring. There's people around him who are running the show, and he's there screaming Raiders. That's about all he's doing in the locker room. And this Broncos win, I was happy we won. We kept the streak alive, but it's going to screw us over because I don't even know if we can trade up now. We're 13th pick. I don't know. No team's going to want to trade out of the top 3, top 4 to go all the way to 13. So it's like, and if I were the team, I probably would have just tanked. I was telling you we were getting another disagreement before the game, saying the streak's going to end eventually. This is my logic, so might as well just have it end now. We're going to play the next year now. Hopefully, the streak doesn't end in a meaningful game. So it's like, I mean, I'm just being really pessimistic, and I don't blame myself for that just because the team has sucked for so long. So I'm used to it by now, and it's just I'm getting the condition of that losing culture, and
Yeah,
we need a change.
I mean, since our first Raiders game, that was the last time we thought we were going to be, really good was 2016. Even in 2021, we knew we were coming in limping to that wild card
Yeah,
in Cincinnati, but we got screwed in that game, of course, like always, the Raider way. Um, but let's honestly, let's go through. I mean, we have like, we can go for a few more minutes. Let's go through the whole playoff thing because remember, we did our playoff picks. So I want to see how that actually like panned out because we picked in a way and a lot of other shit happened, which I'm not happy about, like Pittsburgh making the playoffs.
yeah.
So if you see,
Somehow,
so we got Niners and Ravens with the buys. Then in the AFC, we got Pittsburgh going to Buffalo, which Buffalo, they won that game. They played really, really well yesterday. They had a lot of heart. They came back and beat Miami. Miami going to Kansas City. Last time those two teams played was in Frankfurt or in Munich. Teams were tired, coming off a 10-hour flight, and it didn't go well for Miami. Kansas City, really played better than they are in that game. And then we got old man Flacco visiting CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans, the tandem that you mentioned. Um, honestly, that's going to be exciting. I think Cleveland has a chance in that game, but if CJ Stroud can play well, then I would actually like to see I would like to see the Browns actually go far in the playoffs this year.
yeah. The Cleveland game. Shout out boys, Dalen and Kai. I got Cleveland winning that game just because they played each other earlier in the season and Cleveland kicked their ass. They dropped 36 points on them, and Amari went off. The KC Miami game. I don't see any way Miami wins that game. I watched the Bills game. Tua sucks, man. He just plain sucks. He can't get it done in the playoffs. I don't see a way. Which Mahomes was to Tua Tagovailoa. I just don't see it. And then I think the Bills win. Steelers luckily snuck in somehow, but Bills gonna kick their
Always,
ass.
they always sneak in somehow.
Yeah,
They always do. And then in the NFC, we got Green Bay at Dallas, Mike McCarthy revenge game. We got
yeah,
we got Rams at Detroit. That's a Matt Stafford, Jared Goff revenge game. That's going to be a game though. I think that's going to be a really good game. And then Philly at Tampa. That I think also is going to be more competitive than people think because the Eagles came stumbling into the playoffs. Cowboys won the division. Cowboys are the team to beat really in that division. The Eagles choked to the finish line. They were 1-5 in their last six. And Tampa's coming on in hot. Mike Evans is having a Hall of Fame year to, a great Hall of Fame career, I think 10 years in a row with 1,000 yards plus, which is ridiculous. And then you got Baker Mayfield playing at an all-time level, for himself. His second career playoff game, or third actually. You remember in 2020, he took Browns to the playoffs and they played Pittsburgh in the wild card and they beat them. And that was
yeah,
Roethlisberger's last game. See, like it seems
yeah.
like
No,
every year Pittsburgh makes the playoffs somehow.
I know they're always they sneak. We let them in that by not tying with Chargers. We let them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
But
that year, yeah, we let them in.
in terms of NFC, like they're a good story, but I mean they got blown out by Derek Company
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. So I think Philly. I still think they beat them. I don't see a way Tampa goes to the second round. I can't see that. I would take Dallas and Dallas Green Bay game. You know Jordan Love's playing good. I think Dak's playing better. I think Dallas has a superior roster. So Mike McCarthy gets some revenge there. And then the Detroit LA game. I think that's the game of the weekend. I'm excited to watch that. Being from LA, we're both from LA. We've had an up close look at the Rams these last few years, and you know we don't like to see them do well just because we deserve to be in LA and they're here. They blocked us from coming.
Yep. Yep.
I just think that I just think McVay is a better coach than Campbell, and I just think he'll get it done.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dallas. Obviously, I don't think Jordan Love is there yet, playing really well, but they don't have much talent on that team. And then, oh wow, 45-yard field goal for Washington, right down the middle,
What's the score of that game right now?
20-13.
Okay.
Yeah. But Rams at Detroit, I got the Lions. I think the Lions are just an overall better team. And I think the Lions D is gonna make it tough for Matt Stafford. Detroit home team. I like Detroit. I do think Sean McVay is one of the best coaches in the NFL, but I think Dan Campbell gets it done here. They were cheated out of that Cowboys game with that guy not reporting, but I got the Lions, and then Eagles and Tampa. I'm gonna take. I think Philadelphia gets it, even though I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay gets an upset. Just because of Baker and Mike Evans, just really good together. In the AFC, Pittsburgh at Buffalo, taking the Bills by a lot, by a landslide. I don't like Pittsburgh, even though they always play well in cold weather. It could be snowing over there. Um, and then Miami at Kansas City. That's also going to be a shootout. But I think I'm going to give it to Miami. I think Kansas City is there this year. I think it just depends on how Tua plays, but I really don't think Kansas City is all there. And then in the last game, Cleveland at Houston, I'm going to go bold here and I'm going to pick the Browns. I think Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper are just playing at a, just in sync. I mean, they know where each other is going to be on the field, where the ball is going to be. Cooper knows just where the ball is going to be and he goes and finds it. And I think in that game is going to be close, but I got Cleveland winning that game in a close one.
Yeah. So it seems I think we agree on everything except the Detroit game
Yeah.
and then the KC game. So both 3-6 games.
Yeah.
Um, Here's what I'll say about Dan Campbell. Like obviously he's done a good job. He deserves consideration for Coach of the Year. But that game against Dallas, yeah, they got cheated out of it. He reported fine, and they got the 2-point conversion. But why the hell are you going for it from the 7-yard line after they didn't get it and they're at the 7? They should have just kicked at that point. And that's where you see these coaches. Dan Campbell, at his heart, like in his DNA, he's just not a good football coach. If you make that decision, obviously, yeah, fine, they've done a good job this year. But I don't trust you at all. If you're going to make that decision to go for it, go for two from the 7-yard line. Just kick the extra point, and go to overtime.
Yeah, that
It's not
was
that
dumb.
hard.
That was dumb saying he didn't report and then they still went for it. Like that is honestly stupid. Like honestly idiotic to say, "Oh yeah, like let's move it back and then go for it still." I mean, you should have kicked the field goal at that point. And just tied the game. But yeah, I think we'll see in Raider Nation we got a long off season coming up, so this is just the first of many postseason videos that we're gonna come out with, and just turn that bell on, turn that, all the YouTubers now they say turn that bell on, like, subscribe, comment. We appreciate it all, and we'll catch you guys.